Hey there, welcome to Power Play Garage. A new t-shirt was made for me. Actually, 3 more by Miss Lori. Thank you kindly. And on the back, see it says Power Play Garage. That's right. And today, we're going to start another project. Not that the 5-window coupe is 100% finished, and actually I did pick it up yesterday and brought it back so this way we can finish out what needs to be done to make it 100% finished, because when it left last week it was only so that she can go to a 3-day car show and then knowing that it wasn't 100% finished and bring it back. So it is here, it's on the lift, but the other vehicle is a 1984 Ford F250 pickup truck, and there's quite a bit that needs to be done to this. Yeah, I'm going to take you for a little stroll and show you what I'm talking about and kind of go over some of the things that I'm going to be addressing. So, let's go for a walk. When I was a teenager, that was the image of the truck I wanted. It didn't have to be a Ford, could have been a Chevy, a Datsun. Didn't matter, just as long as it had the 3 triple bar, whatever you want to call it, roll bar, the big tires and wheels, everything about it. Even the interior. Wait till you see the interior. It's just awesome. Yeah, on the road again, and it will be shortly. It got towed here, or flatbedded here, and this wheel right here is locked up, so I will be starting the process out here and getting that wheel off and finding out why that wheel is locked up. So let's check out the interior. Yeah, this truck is beautiful, and it only has 37,000 miles on it. It is really clean. Yep, look at that. I love all that stuff. This is the cover for the winch in the front. Really nice truck, really nice. Told the client might not be leaving here. Just might not be. You never know. Got lost somewhere, I don't know. Let's check underneath the hood. Yeah, there's the power winch covered. There she be, 351. Yeah, I will be taking the engine out because we're going to be addressing all the gaskets, seals, and what have you, including the transmission one. So because that the transmission is involved and the crank seal is involved and the front one's involved, they just felt as though instead of pulling the transmission and the transfer case just to get at those 2 seals back there, knowing I have to get at all this here in the front, it'd just be better that I just remove it, because the radiator's coming out anyway. It's a whole lot better. So I'm going to actually leave the hood in place, remove the front clip here, and carefully take the engine out from the front. And this way nothing will get damaged or anything else like that. I don't believe that the winch will be in the way, but I'll address that once I get to that point. But first, I got to get that wheel off. So until I actually get it off and find out why that particular brake is locked up, it could be the emergency brake setup. I'll find out, and when I do, so will you. So stand by. All right, I'm back. Big tire off. Finally got the rear drum off. And one of the things you can do, you kind of get a decent size hammer, and not that you're gonna beat the thing or anything like that to death, but what I do is I just kind of do something similar to this all the way around it, front, the sides, try to tap the back, just to maybe find out if that will be enough to unstick maybe the brake pads from the actual drum. And if that doesn't free it up, then there is an adjustment slot, which you can probably catch that side, the hole there at the bottom, that slit. And you take, there's a tool they sell for it, but you can use a screwdriver, and it's not much different on the ends. of it, and you slip it into that slot right there, and figure out what way. In this case, I put the screwdriver down in at an angle like this, and I rotated the wheel that's right in there, and I rotated it. And I basically, if you're looking at it, the wheel is turning counterclockwise because you're going in at an angle, going in from the top, and you're pushing down, and that starts to spin the wheel to go upward, and that's loosened up the brake pads. And what I've discovered is that there is brake fluid that has been leaking out, so the rear wheel cylinder there is no good, which is, I guess, would most likely be common for this age of truck with only 37,000 miles on it. So not only will I replace this one, but I will replace that one over there as well. And the one thing, if I've never told anybody before, but I'm going to state it now, I seriously hate doing drum brakes. Sorry, client, but I really hate doing them. There's so much garbage in here that you need to address, to take out, and all that, blah, 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 blah. It's just, and when you go to put it back together, it's just a royal pain in the butt. But hey, you get the good with the bad, and I will replace that and that one over there as well, so that it's even. That's just the way I feel that you would handle when it comes to brakes. So, at that point, now that these are loosened up, I'm going to slip the drum back on there so that I can drive this into the building, hopefully with no issues. So, until I get it in there, stand by. Well, as you could tell, it definitely wasn't on the road again. It wants to be on the road again, and it will be on the road again. It just turned out to be a fiasco with trying to keep this thing running. I thought by actually, one of the things you do is you have a bottle similar to this with gas in it. And this port right there, if you can see that, once you start pouring gas in there, it fills up the bowl here in the front. Well, that only lasts maybe, I don't know, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and then it's empty. So I kept doing it a few times. I got it to move maybe 10, 12 feet, but many a times back, fill that, pour some in there, fill that, pour some in there, and go through that process. I thought it'd be long enough to get what appears to be like a, what's on the inside? A newer fuel pump. Kind of looks new, maybe not really sure, but it is down there. And it just wouldn't pick up the fuel from the tank. And I know there's fuel in the tank now because the client brought 5 gallons and dumped it in the tank. But it got to be just ridiculous. So just easier to see, as you did see me pull it in with the machine a couple of times, 4 times, whatever, in and out of the machine to turn the wheel. But it was a hell of a lot faster and got the job done and got it where I want it in my building. So the next thing I'm going to do is start prepping to take the engine out, get that out. But before I do that, I am going to look it over. I'm going to jack up this end here to make it level it up, put a block under it or something. And I'm going to get my creeper, go underneath there and kind of do an inspection and see if the list that was given to me is verified. So I'm going to do that first because I don't want to start taking wrenches to it if everything seems to be nice and dry. And then I will have a conversation if I think otherwise with the client and move from there. But in the meantime, stand by. Okay, I'm back. And I did get on that right there, the creeper. And I started at the front, underneath, all the way to the back. Prognosis, I believe the initial plan will still go as follows. Yeah, it should come out alongside the actual engine mounts that come up off the frame. You could see it's wet along those 2 sides. It's kind of weird. I don't know. You figured if the gasket was going, it would kind of go not so much, there's so much on this side and so much on that side. But hey, and definitely the rear seal is definitely leaking. The front one is dry. But being that the transmission seal is going to be changed and the valve covers definitely need to be changed, I can definitely see that looking up from the bottom up. They're definitely going to need to be changed. So actually, I did notice one other thing that the client was not aware of. At least it wasn't on the list. I took a picture of it. And that picture shows, let's see, the drive shaft is actually hitting, or I should say the header, the collector. I don't know if you can see that. No, maybe you can. You can see the collector and the drive shaft are rubbing against each other, and it has created that line that's in there. Not a big deal. I will have to address it. Most likely try to clean it up some, grind it out a little bit, because we're not changing the headers, but we will be changing that exhaust. One of the things, I guess, when they were doing the exhaust, they didn't calculate the amount of exhaust coming out per header. Now you have roughly 1.25 inch tubes, I believe. Yeah, let's say 1.25 inch. Could be up close to 1.5 inches. So even if you split in the middle, 1 3/8 inch diameter, tubes coming, all collecting into one area. That's why they call that a collector, I believe, just my opinion. And then they're jamming it into a 1 3/4 inch pipe per side, and then running to the mufflers and then heading out the back end. So from the collector, including the one side of the collector, we'll be changing that and going with a bigger diameter exhaust. I'm sure they sell a nice kit so that I won't have to actually make one or send it to a muffler shop, which are dying out, but most likely be able to get the kit from the collector on back, including the collector, with a bigger diameter, and make a much nicer exhaust all the way through. So I guess the plan is, got to start labeling, taking everything apart, take the grill off, and go from there to get that engine out, because I really don't want to take the hood off. I don't think I really need to. I shouldn't have to. But in the meantime, it is leveled up. I did get the blocks underneath there. It took two 2x8s, so it got it up to where it's even now. Did make it a little bit more comfortable up on the front to get underneath there with the creeper. But I'm definitely going to have to charge that battery. I'm a little disappointed with AutoZone. I don't know if it's theirs. It should be theirs. But it's a Duralast. It's kind of weak. And the client just picked it up. So I'm going to put it on charge. And before I start taking things apart, see if I can get to run a little longer than 10 seconds, basically. So until things start moving, stand by. All right, I'm back again. Hear that? But it is running on its own. I had to do the bowl a couple of times and fill it up. I really didn't think that the fuel pump was bad because it sort of kind of looks new. So I believe that the float inside the bowl was stuck. So I tapped at it with a little hammer, and I believe that just made the float come up or down or whatever it needed to do to allow the fuel to come in, which probably needed to go down. And this way, the fuel would be allowed to come into the bowl and fill it back up. So it's running, it's staying running. They definitely have exhaust leaks from the headers. And I'm surprised it hasn't basically kicked down. It has automatic chokes and whatnot on there. And by this time I figured it would do its thing. No, there's an issue with the carburetor, I guess. I believe he wanted a new one anyway. Get rid of some of that silliness on there, but nevertheless, it does run. Ooh, fresh oil leaks on the concrete already. Going to get some cardboard down there. Let me show you. Heck, and it's only been running for a few minutes. Woo, look at that. I did have a clean floor. And there it is. I don't like oil leaks on my floors. It happens and I gotta clean it. But until the next step, stand by. I'm back. And it's dark out. But anyhow, the complete section for the engine, anything that was connected to it that needed to come apart, loosened or whatever, is done. And even the lift plate is in place and snug down. Everything from the little bracket down there that holds on the transmission lines to the radiator, which will be coming out tomorrow. The torque converter bolts are out, transmission bolts are out, header bolts, everything out, disconnected. Fuel line, power steering lines, 2 disconnected. Anything and everything that could be a problem or latched on is disconnected. That's right. Including the bracket underneath the alternator, because that bracket held or restricted basically the bracket that holds the transmission lines in place along the bottom of the engine. So it's all ready to go as far as that goes. Tomorrow is going to be about removing the radiator because the client wants it replaced anyway, and that was another reason why knowing that all this was coming out anyway to get at the front seal and all the other stuff. So that'll be out, and this cross member should be able to have no problem coming out, along with the grill. And what I'll do about the, let's see, not the evaporator, can't think, it's late. The condenser, that's the word I'm looking for the AC, the condenser. And that I know I'll be able to swing out of the way. I've done it with Dodges. They're hooked up similar as far as coming out of the right side, the lines and what have you. So that shouldn't be an issue. So moving forward. Yep, moving forward. And I got some mess to clean up, put some chains away, and these tools up, and whatever else. But well, it's the next day and I'm back. And as you can see behind me, I am on this 1984 F250. And I'm hooked up, yep, with the engine hoist. Ready to, actually I already got it part way, definitely have it separated from the transmission. And it's up there a little bit. I'm waiting for more of the antifreeze to drain out into that bucket so I don't make a mess taking it out. Yesterday, actually, on my Instagram page, you know, I post a lot of pictures, and it's Radical Curves 157 on Instagram. But anyway, there is the engine up much, much higher than obviously it would normally sit. And I wanted to point out some of the electric tools that I use. Keep in mind, once again, not being sponsored, good old Rigid. I have one more, actually Rigid, same design as this, but it's half-inch. And it's actually strong enough to take the lug nuts off of this truck with the big wheels. I used it yesterday to free up that back wheel. But as far as when it comes to electric tools, this is definitely my preferred ones. And if you all decide to go out there and buy them, once again, I'm not being sponsored, just remember to send in the paperwork you need so you get a lifetime warranty. And that was one of the options that come with Rigid. You send in the paperwork and you'll have a lifetime warranty on them. I didn't get it with, I don't think I got it with this one. This one was a gift. And actually, it's even missing the hook that these come with. See, it comes with one of them. But I don't know why that one didn't come with one of them hooks. I have no idea. Would have been nice. But nevertheless, the coolant is still draining in the bucket there. Yep, still running out. Maybe I should put some air to the top end over there and force some of that out, considering I don't want to be here all night trying to get this out. But I know one thing for sure, when I go in to put it back in, I'm going to probably need some help, for sure. Just because of the way the engine mounts are designed and to line it up with that transmission, it might be a little tricky. But we'll see what happens. But I just figured I would start with that. And once this thing is actually out, you'll get to see it. And then I will be putting it on the engine stand. And then the process of taking some of the items off of it so I get at the front will start. And I am going to prep this actually for paint. Yeah, I'm going to paint that engine before it goes back in. Obviously all the seals and the gaskets will be changed. And I'm considering putting it on the engine run stand and run it to see if there's going to be any leaks. Probably will do that, especially because of the fact that I am changing the rear main seal and the front one. Front one's not leaking, but the oil pan on certain sides of it is, and definitely the back is definitely leaking. I pointed that out yesterday. But nevertheless, it'll be a precaution that I'll take, so I believe it will go up on that engine run stand. And let it run for a little bit, make sure there's no oil leaks, and go from there. So, meantime, I'm going to be fussing and fighting to get that thing out of there, hopefully very carefully, and move on from there and I'm gonna have to put a stop to that. I'm not sitting here all night waiting for that thing to drain out. No way. But anyhow, stand by. Okay, well now you can see it's out, safe and sound. But first, I'm gonna take the flex plate off. Yep. And I'm gonna actually mark it. Just so I think there's really most engines, as far as on the crank, the flex plate, flywheel, whatever, the setting of the bolts usually dictates how the flywheel or flex plate goes on there. So, but for the fun of it, I'm going to make a mark with a white pen, so this way there's no mistaking it. And then once that plate's off, I can put it on the engine stand and go from there. So stand by. All right, that was quick. I actually made the second mark after I took it off, so this way I'd be able to really see it when it comes to actually installing it. And I'm going to point out something else. They usually sell a kit for this, but somebody already got into this because this is not the original intake. And these tubes right here go into the back of the head. I know that they're on the 302s, the GT Mustang engines, and this person opted to squeeze this to tighten it, clamp it, or whatever, seal it off. And the same thing over here, but as I could see here, there's a hole worn into that. And also, maybe that's sealed okay, but this, you can tell there's a bit of a leak out of there. So I'm going to clean it up, pop some welds on that, and pretty much take care of that situation right there. So as you can see, I'm going to point out, yeah, definitely oil pan from through here, up and around the seal area, and right around the corner. And I know it's hard to tell, but definitely on this side it's easier as far as it's wetter over there by the engine mount. So this all happened to be cleaned up, and that seal happened to be changed. And then the seal in the transmission, same thing. It was just better off, I know I've said this before, to take the engine out. This way I can really clean it. And actually put some fresh coat of paint on there. And this is just a bad manifold gasket. I will need to get new ones. And there's the fan. There's Puss in Boots. She's getting a little annoyed because she thinks it's time to quit. You know, she doesn't realize the hour change. So, but I put some fresh food out there, chicken for her. And she likes chicken. She's been eating it. But anyhow, there's the transmission. Somewhere along the line, the torque converter will come out. We'll change the seal at that end, just to make sure there's no issues there. And I'm going to clean the engine bay up some, you know, all that, and go from there. So, and then also this mess got to be cleaned up. I don't like a mess on the floor. But anyhow, I got to get that hooked up to this. So in the meantime, until that happens, stand by. All right, I'm back, and did a lot of cleanup on some of this stuff, especially the floor. I don't like a mess on the floor at all. I don't like oil stains, antifreeze stains, so I try to clean all that up. You know, you do your best to try to collect it so that you can properly either reuse it if it's still good, like the antifreeze, but obviously getting rid of the engine oil, I always take it to one of the parts store and dump it in their oil container so they can dispose of it. But in the meantime, it's going to end this segment of this 1984 F250 custom truck. I love it. I definitely love it. It was my teenage dream truck, not necessarily Ford. I really didn't care what brand it was. Could have been a Datsun as long as it had all these things on there, like the triple chrome roll bar, lifted up, big tires, nice wheels, custom interior, just like this truck. You know, it might not have been someone else's vision, but definitely mine. and but that's the way it is. But anywho, I do my best and try to respond to any of the current comments. There's been questions about even the smart car when I did the 9-inch lift on it. I got back to the guy hopefully soon enough. And also, I think there was an ABS question on a Chrysler 300 that I did. And I believe also the BMW Countryman um, car that I ended up doing a coolant leak on there. I do my best to try to show things that are definitely helpful and valuable to somebody so that it would save them time, maybe save them money instead of going to the dealership. Not that I'm trying to take work from them, but most people can't afford that kind of rate. And if they can do it themselves, if they have the ability, more power to you, do it. Worst case scenario, you make a mistake, as long as it doesn't cost a fortune, you take it apart, you do it over, and you learn something from it. But anyhow, um, tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday morning, I'll be posting this. And then obviously there'll be more to come on there because there's things to do under the hood, like pressure wash, change the seal on the transmission. I definitely got to address the engine, get that ready, and do all the changing on that. But anyhow, if you all would subscribe if you haven't yet, give me a thumbs up, make a comment, and this way, hopefully somewhere I can get along on the good graces of YouTube and start making something of it. I kind of hardly doubt it, but that's all right. I've been in it a year now. It said I've been on this a year, doing my best, and that's all you can really do. And in the meantime, try to get something done. Have a good one.